Good evening, guys and gals. Since it's almost Christmas, I thought I'd read you a story. Here we have How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. And I guess they have lots of big wreaths with big ass bows on them. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. Hold up. Is he naked? He's not wearing any clothes. Where are his hands, though? Are those pockets? Does he have a pouch? The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. Could be that his head wasn't screwed on just right. Could be, perhaps, that his shoes were too tight. He's not wearing shoes. He's not wearing clothes at all. That's like a bodysuit or something. Or maybe his heart was too small. Whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, well, it's not his shoes. He stood there on Christmas Eve hating the Who's. So we've got a creepy old man, a peeping Tom, with no clothes on, watching the Who's from his lofty apartment. All the Who girls and boys will wake bright and early. They rush for their toys. And oh, the noise. The noise. Well, I don't blame the Grinch. I don't have a kid, and there's a reason for that. I can't stand all the noise. I don't blame him for hating Christmas. Tell him to shut the hell up. Then the Who's young and old would sit down to a feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast. Well, with all that eating, you'd think they'd be a bunch of lard asses, but they're all stick skinny. I want to know what kind of diet they're on. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast. I haven't seen that in Aldi. And then they do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Who's would start singing. And they'd sing, and they'd sing, and they'd sing. Okay, well, I get it. Then he got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. Is it wonderful or awful? I know just what to do, the Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat in the throat. Okay, well, he's putting on some clothes now. Still doesn't have any pants on. That seems to be the important part there. With this hat and this coat, I look just like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there were none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? Probably not. If I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max. Then he took some red thread, and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. All right, I see some animal abuse going on here. Do we need to call the ASPCA or something? Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hooked up Oh, look at that poor dog. That skinny old dog is pulling that sled with that fat ass creepy old man with no pants on. All the Who's, all their windows were dark. Quiet snow filled the air. All the Who's were dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first house on the square, "This is stop number 1, the old Grinchy claws hissed, and he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist." Okay. So, indecent exposure, breaking and entering, animal abuse. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch. But if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once for a moment or two. He stuck his head out of the fireplace flue. Okay. These stockings, he grinned, are the first things to go. Well, he's not going to use them. He doesn't even wear shoes. And he slunk all around, stealing all their presents, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn, and plums. He stuffed them up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. Maybe he'll lose some weight. Why, that Grinch even took their last can of Who hash. Sounds good. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. "And now," grinned the Grinch, "I will stuff up the tree." And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove, when he heard a small coo sound like the coo of a dove. He turned around fast and saw a small Who. Little Cindy Lou Who is no more than 2. What a scrawny-ass little kid. The Grinch had been caught by this little tiny Who daughter who got out of bed for a drink of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, "Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?" For a 2-year-old, she has a pretty good vocabulary. But you know that old Grinch, he was so smart and so quick. He thought up a lie and he thought it up quick. "Why, my sweet little tot," the fake Santa Claus lied. "There's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it back to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, and I'll bring it back here." And despite the 2-year-old's advanced intelligence, she believes the fib. He got her a drink so she could go back and wet the bed. And then he went to the chimney and stuffed up the tree. Last thing he took was a log for their fire so they can freeze to death. He went up the chimney himself, the old liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. And the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Yeah, maybe it'll help with their rodent problem, getting rid of the food. Then he did the same thing with the other houses, leaving crumbs much too small. It was 1/4 dawn. Oh, here we go. Look. Now look at that. A sleigh full of toys and junk and trees. And that scrawny little dog is pulling the whole thing. I don't like that. "3,000 feet. 3,000 feet. This dog's going to pull this sleigh 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet. He rode with his load. to the tip top to dump it. The dirty old man with no pants is going to dump his load. Pooh-pooh to the Who's. He was grinchiously humming. They're finding out now no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. They'll start screaming there, where's the hell are my toys? Their mouths will hang open in a moment or two. Then the Who's down in Whoville will all cry boo-hoo. That's the noise, grinned the Grinch, that I simply must hear. Well, that's mean. So he paused, and the Grinch put a hand to his ear. And he did hear a sound. Rising over the snow, it started in low, then it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry, very. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Who. Oh, here comes the singing again. And they sing and they sing and they sing. I really can't blame him for not liking it. I can only take so many choruses of La Who Dore. And the Grinch with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow. That's what happens when you don't wear shoes. Stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. It came without... Oh, yeah. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas perhaps means a little bit more. Not from what I've seen. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville, they say, the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. Isn't that what? That's a medical condition. What's an oversized heart called? I can't remember right now. He whizzed with his load through the bright morning light, and he brought back the toys and the food for the feast, and he himself carved the roast beast. And there's little Cindy Lou Who with what looks like some weaponry there. Look at that huge knife and fork they're giving her. Well, moral of the story is someone needs to take their asses to Whoville with some police and rescue organizations to save these children and the dog and arrest this dirty old man. Thank you.